Hey everyone, Mineral here once again with a new video. This one's a little different. It's basically just a coaching session that I did with an off-tank player who is peak 4,500 SR. He has just joined a trials team and wants to obviously go through trials and hopefully into contenders. And this video is basically just me coaching him through different concepts. We go through 3 of the maps that he played with his team in scrims. We see and we discuss how to play against goats, how to play against Sombra goats, how to play against DPS compositions, and basically how an off tank needs to change his mindset and sort of realign priorities and things like that going into these different matchups. We also touch a lot on matrix management, ultimate management, positioning, and all of that good stuff that every off-tank should know. I think the video provides a pretty good baseline for most aspiring off-tank players. We go pretty in-depth into some concepts, and we also talk about some... I also, at the end of the video, I also show a couple of relevant examples for Overwatch League matches where the professional teams kind of put these concepts into action. So it's a pretty long video, but I think it's very beneficial if you want to learn how to play D.Va especially. There's a little bit of Sombra in there too, and then at the end we'll have a little bit of a summary of what we've learned, and that's it. So yeah, and I hope you enjoyed the video. But anyway, like I said, you do seem like you have solid comms, you have good reads, you help your teammates, which is important. You do make the right call a lot of times, but you don't really shift tone as much. Your tone is stays like very much the same regardless of how important the call is. Obviously, your comms aren't that cluttered, but it's something you can think about.
So is that more like kind of getting louder and more aggressive sounding when it's a more important call? Or?
Yeah, exactly. When it's a super important call, like you know, when you want to catch a target, you amplify your tone.
Yeah. So that also be stuff like sneaky shatters and stuff if you spot it like last second.
Yeah, or any kind of mid-fight calls that are crucial, because during mid-fight is when you're actually gonna have to shift your tone a lot, because that's when you can potentially change the play. Like, if 3 people are talking and you can shift your tone and talk a little bit louder, and if you know like your call is the most important, then they will be able to hear that.
Yeah, like insisting.
Other than that, like a lot of the stuff is just taking off angles and controlling high ground, which is something you don't do a lot. We'll touch on that a lot on Blizzard World especially.
Okay.
And then yeah, to talk a little bit about how to play against DPS compositions, because it's something you said you struggled with as well, and how we should reallocate resources and all of that. So first of all, let's just start with the Lijiang. This map was pretty clean. Like, you guys didn't have too many issues, but there are a couple of things that I noticed. It's good to go over the wall. You protect your Reinhardt. You guys negate the wall. They get no value out of the wall. And these little calls that you're making, they're really good. You know, you're calling their bubbles, you're calling when the walls are like these important cooldowns. It's super important that you do that. So that's very, very good. At least I think that's you doing that, or it might be your main tank.
No, it's me. It's me. Main tank is the American sounding guy.
Okay.
No, we just fight back. We fight back. They're gonna have break or nothing. We just started choking. Like, walk back as they come up and just poke the shield.
You just have to be careful for the Mei.
Yeah.
Yeah, rally post. Not early though. When we go.
Is this you calling the macro calls, like not early and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
Go for it. Speeding. We don't need any ult.
That's good. No else. You guys just clean up, punish off of the pig, leverage that.
Yeah, ult economy is something we still mess up sometimes because of
Yeah, but I definitely noticed that.
I mean, we have a new Zen now as well, so that he had to leave for his school issues and stuff. So I think the one we have now is a bit more experienced in that regard. But there's still fights where we particularly the supports where we overcommit support ults into lost fights regardless and kind of just feed theirs.
Yeah. So something that I think it's interesting to address. Just so like when you're playing goats into May goats. So
Yeah.
How does your thinking process shift? Like how do your priorities shift, both as a team and you as a DPS player?
So obviously I have to be wary of not getting frozen because I can't eat that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be careful in terms of taking positions where the May can freeze me for free when
Mm-hmm.
my boosters are off cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously sometimes the slowdown means that even if you do boosters, it can be late. But also they have no matrix, so I think poking the shield and kind of keeping pressure on the Rhine is the right idea. Because they have no matrix, so we should be able to win the shield battle and then pressure their Rhine out there.
Mm-hmm.
But also playing closer to our Rhine, so if he gets walled, we can help him faster.
Yeah. Obviously, it's super important that you manage your matrix well, because there's 2 ultimates that you can negate rather than just one, right?
As well.
Yeah. And obviously, like what you have to understand is anytime anyone plays May, before they use wall, they have a little bit of an advantage. But as soon as they use the wall, they're super vulnerable, and that's when you guys can be a lot more aggressive and proactive, assuming it's not a good wall. So anytime it's not a good wall and all of you guys can go around it, you guys should be playing a lot more aggressively because you have so much more damage mitigation, right?
Okay.
So in a situation like this is what I was talking about in terms of trying to take off angles. Obviously, it's a little risky against the May because she can walk up to you and freeze you if you don't have a lot of room to play with. But in general, because you're rallying here, you guys should be you can afford to take an off angle here.
Okay, so that would just be further to the left.
Yeah, because in general, anytime you guys rally engage, which was the plan before the fight, right?
Yeah.
Your team will push into them and generally push into them and try to take space this way. So from your starting position, you know. In general, these guys should be giving up a little bit of space and backing off, unless they want to use an ultimate to hold that space. So for you, this is a perfect opportunity as they're backing off to catch them going this way or this way.
Okay.
And worst case scenario, you draw resources away from these guys. So if you can draw exactly, if you can pull the Discord, if you can pull any damage, the Zarya focus, without taking critical damage to the point where you get demeched or you take. So you don't take that much damage that you have to steal healing resources from your Reinhardt, then it's always going to be good. So it's just about finding that balance. When can you get away with that? And certainly, anytime you guys engage with a rally and try to take space, it's going to be a little less important for you to take care of your Reinhardt, and you can get a lot more value doing this, especially if you stay within rally range, because you can still get
healing
the passive armor. Yeah.
So is it more like basically avoiding any damage that? So basically, you can take as much damage as auras will heal, basically.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you should
armor pack and
you should take the angle, and then you should pay attention to what your enemies are doing. If they start looking at you and they start focusing you, then you can obviously
kite back a bit.
Exactly. Like you read their movement. As soon as the Discord goes on you, use cover or even shift out, Just pay attention to that so you don't take too much damage. Because if you can force the Zen to switch their Discords and they can't get the Discord, like after you bubble trade, if they can't get a Discord on your right and you have a Discord on theirs, then obviously that's a big advantage for you.
Okay.
Oh. And this is one of those things where you can touch with your teammates, and this is going to help you decide when you can take off angles and when you can't. Your Reinhardt and your Zarya don't really talk with each other about when they use target bubbles. So in a situation like this, your Reinhardt got chunked, right?
Yeah.
And he got walled off. So your Zen doesn't know what's going on here. He doesn't know that your Zarya still has a target bubble. So with the rally going and with the target bubble coming out, like, your Reinhardt is still relatively safe, especially if you're taking an angle like this and pressuring and potentially booping someone in. But your Zen doesn't know that, so he goes in and trances early just because your Reinhardt got chunked. He has to make that read because your front line really isn't communicating. You still have Matrix. The rally is going, bubble, like he's fine. So you guys can help your Zen not make this mistake.
Okay.
And you guys don't do anything with your bubbles. You use a target bubble, you take no space. So it's something you guys could have been much more aggressive as soon as you rallied. If you target bubble and both, like, all of you move it in sort of like you move the way that I told you to, and the rest of the team moves the way that That would have been good. And you use your bubble proactively to take space, because now you didn't do it to take space. Your Reinhardt didn't know he was going to get the bubble, so he's just standing and holding shield, and you waste your trance, and they can just easily disengage from you.
Yeah.
But also, what is the most important thing? Now, when you've already made this mistake, your Zen used his trance. Obviously, we're pretty far into the round. What's the most important thing for you?
As a D.Va? Oh, there's grab.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the trance comes out, now that when that mistake is made, you're super vulnerable to the grab. So your priority immediately switches. Okay, where's the Zarya? I need to pay attention to her and make her life miserable.
Okay.
And here you see Zarya across the map, but it's not in your priority list. You just think, oh, we have trance, let's push. But you immediately have to think, well, I have to mitigate the Zarya threat.
So that'd just be kind of flying at her and getting her face?
No, necessarily. You just have to look at her and read her movement and be ready to react in case she grabs you. Because if she's smart, she's going to be trying to pressure you as well. And then you can just play the dance with her. Just buy your team time. Because now she's in an off angle over there, but you sort of ignore her. And I think here you start thinking about her. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think I kind of remembered she was there. I was kind of looking for the sneaky grab.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do the kind of I think the thought process was I'll pretend I didn't see her and see if I can catch grab, but then that might just end up getting us grabbed anyway.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. But yeah, like in general, when the trance comes out, you can try and pay a little more attention to her, and you can even play a little further back. You can even play on the left side of pillar. Play the distance, because then she can't even pressure you at all. And then as long as you're looking at her, she can't do anything. Because now when you gamble with your matrix like this.
Yeah.
If she had she's probably at 80% now, but if she had grab, you guys just lose this fight.
Yeah. So kind of like holding on to matrix and kind of mind gaming.
Yeah, when you know there's an ultimate that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And just making it hard for the Zarya, because a good Zarya will always just see your matrix and then she's immediately gonna grab.
Yeah, make sure to use grab first.
Yeah, it's a point. Wait for May 1, then we grab them.
They might mail behind the wall, then I'll try and catch.
Yeah, so you guys want to wait for the May wall so that she can't block the follow-up for your grab, right?
The bomb, yeah.
If they use her grab first, just give it up. Don't use
Good pick.
Oh wait, no, it's not May 1. Sorry.
So in general, I don't know how much you like follow Overwatch League, and it's actually a video I'm working on in terms of combos, and it's something you can think about, like whether you need to use your combo or whether you should just use your grab on its own. Because what a lot of AL teams do, instead of trying to combo, they just grab and they try to pin out of the grab.
Just pin the break or whatever.
Exactly, because if you grab these guys, say they wall, and then you grab these guys first. If you immediately bomb it, then their Zarya will grab your Reinhardt, and then their Mei will immediately Mayult, and then they will win that exchange. Your Reinhardt will get frozen, your grab will off first, and then you guys will lose that fight because they can just kill your Reinhardt. So you bombing in that situation isn't really objectively correct if they have those ultimates, because they just win the trade. But if you hold your matrix and you guys look for a pin in the grab, well, then they're under extreme pressure. There's a very good chance that you eat either the grab or the Mei ult, or if they're holding onto those ults, at least you pin someone out and you get the kill before those ults come out, right? Like this is sort of mind game, and it's even more important when there's two major ultimates that you can eat.
Sorry.
Let's see.
If they use her grab first, just give it up. Don't use it.
If they use
Oh wait, no, May 1.
So here you guys could definitely pressure your advantage a lot more, you know? Like I said, they have no D.Va, just grab first. You can work your way around the wall here, even if they wall here, and then you can still eat their follow-up. But you guys are super passive, so even though they lost a person, like you guys are just way too passive. And then, again, you guys bubble without saying anything, right? So your Rhino was like, oh shit, I have bubble, maybe I'll swing. But it's not like you guys aren't in sync with it.
It's not premeditated.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it kind of being too afraid of the wall when it's like less of a threat than it could be, especially without Discord?
Yeah, I mean, as long as your positioning is good, like even if she walls off here, you guys can still help here, you know. And obviously, you want to try and play more in the open where they can't get that much value out of the wall. And there's really no walls that gave you any issues here. But the important thing is just to remember how to Like, do you need to bomb the grav, or is it better for you to hold it? And that depends on what ults they have. If they don't have grav, then fine, just bomb it. You know, like it doesn't matter, because then you'll be able to pin it anyway. Your Reinhardt and your Brig and your Lucio will be able to follow up on it. And here you go in for, you shift to boop, I suppose, right? Because you think
it might have been to try and fake the grab, but I think I went too far by just like mechanical error.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because as soon as you get shattered, that's game over.
The
like
Mayo comes out.
That's when they can use all the ults, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you hold so much power against that composition because they have to work around you, so you don't really want to give them something like this for free, where you just exactly. And you can afford to play a little more passive until the wall comes out. That threat is out of the way, then you tempo shift and you're aggressive, and then you're looking for trades, like regardless of ultimates. That's usually how you should look to tempo shift. And yeah, obviously you guys waste your
double sport.
Yeah. As soon as the shatter, and it's very important that you guys communicate that before the fight, like to save the portals.
Yeah, we're starting to do that now. So we're calling these fights just just give it up.
Because it's complete when you guys are at 99, it's completely fine to tank their combo.
Get 6 ults and go back.
Stick to the plan in the future.
Yeah, that's what the coaches mentioned.
Your microphone.
Oh, fuck. Is it still bad?
No, it's okay now.
Okay.
No, it's bad again.
I think. Oh fuck. Is that any better?
Right now it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 years old. Sorry.
Okay, now it's bad. It's iffy. Yeah, you obviously you miss you're missing some like you said, I think you said yourself, you're missing some fire strikes. It's super important when you guys go through chokes that you eat them all. And a little misplaced DO bomb. Obviously, you want to get a little closer to center, either like shifting in and then popping it above them. Yeah, because now like you miss it, so it's very it's very easy for him to shatter and then just block it. And it is a little it is very annoying to retake against the man at this point.
Yeah.
I think you guys did a pretty good job clearing the corner, but yeah, you guys messed up the combo.
No, they beat in close enough.
Speed up together and go on the right.
3, 2, 1, speed. Go speed.
Go right. No. Pressure. Run on that name. Run on that name. They're not right. No ally.
Yeah, you guys didn't anticipate the shatter and just got shattered.
Yeah, I was holding Matrix through choke in case they tried to early grab or Mayo.
Yeah.
I wanted to have it up.
Yeah, I mean, usually like anytime you're clearing the when you're retaking around a corner against against a grab, like usually you want to be the one sort of turning the corner first so you can eat it. Okay. Or like you should be very close to the Reinhardt to try.
Oh, so in case the Zarya is like grabbing the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is another one of those situations where it is like as soon as you lose this HP, like you put your team in a really bad spot, but it's like a twofold issue. Like your Reinhardt's shield was low, and he wants to rest his shield over here and wait out the rally, but he doesn't say anything. If he says my shield is low, I want to rest shield, then you would, with that information, you would probably just hold here and wait, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't peek here because now you sort of expect him to move forward with the shield. You're not paying, but also it's something even without him communicating, you can also pay attention to his shield HP. See when it's cracking, and understand that we won't be able to take the next corner with 500 shield. So my Reinhardt is most likely going to rest it, so I have to play a little more defensive. Because now you guys are put in an awkward spot. It's very hard to heal you up. You have to take the resources. They pressure you in this corner, so yeah. It's... This is another, like, I really like you taking this off angle, because, again, it puts these guys in very awkward spots for their ults. But this is another one of those situations. You guys are going to be taking space with a support ult, right? Like, you already rallied. As soon as you rallied, these guys backed off. You guys beat a little prematurely, but as soon as the beat comes out, you guys can take even more space. They have to fall back even more.
Yeah.
And you're even you're going to get the beat, right? So... but you start backing off. You know, like I think in this situation, if you guys got rally going, you just got the beat. You might as well even like fly up here because you have so much spare HP.
Okay.
Or at least be a little more aggressive, like be even more aggressive on the off angle. Draw the attention from these guys, and then the rest of your team, as long as they're taking space well, like they're gonna have so much more freedom. But you take the off angle, which is smart. It's gonna be difficult for the Zyra to get her grab off. You can maybe she's not watching you, and you can just eat it from afar.
Yeah, I think
and you do eat the Mayo.
Yeah, I think the idea was to try and catch one of the ults. My fear was that they would wall along this line here and Mayo there, and I thought that partly because they could maybe stop the contest, and so I could be able to touch, but also the Mayo from the side. My thought was that they could try and catch it off on the side. Yeah, one of the two at least.
I mean, it's definitely the right idea to try and take this off angle and try and catch the ult. And I mean, you do catch the ult. I just think in general, it's just the thought process of when you guys are using a support ult proactively to take space, you can also understand that you have a lot more leeway and a lot more room for error because you're going to get more healing. So you can afford to be a little more aggressive. Because if these guys don't have a bubble, maybe you can even boop in the Reinhardt. Like your playbook just opens up a lot, and you can take a more aggressive off angle. You can still eat their ults, and then you can even farm your ult a lot faster. So
yeah, I think I decided not to shoot to try and be sneaky, but I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah, but I understand.
My favorite was to getting stunned, but then I think that wasn't really relevant.
Yeah, no, I mean you're definitely right. Like flying above the point would provide the risk of you getting bashed or even frozen. So you still have
team coordinated.
Exactly. So your team has to move forward, and then you still have to keep distance from Brig and from Mei.
Okay.
Okay. So a little bit of Sombra here. You guys were pretty dominant, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Just a small thing. When you roll out with Sombra on this point, I think it's much better to roll out towards point because it's much harder.
Cover of the wall.
Yeah, because it's much harder to get a hack from this angle.
Because of the sight line. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the thing is, your Widow. You have a Widow in this situation, right?
Yes. So
your Widow will be shooting from bridge, and in reality, like if you're like, so let's take a look at the situation, and then we'll talk about it. So you get a hack off here, but you only get it because your ball is essentially feeding. Like your ball goes in and suicides, and everyone obviously looks to punish it. Which is why you get the hack off, but it's not really an impactful hack. And if your main tank doesn't do this, then both of these tanks will be able to shut they will be able to shut this hack down with ease, and they will also with one jump be able to force your translocator and also move towards your Widow.
A backline, okay.
Yeah, so they will be able to completely take map control.
So it's important to kind of prevent aggression on me from also being aggression on the team, so keeping the aggro split.
You always want to take an off angle, and this is a good example because now you actually transition to the position you should have started in, and you see Winston jumps you, and that's
nowhere near the backline.
Exactly, like that means your Widow is free, and someone else has to deal with the Widow. And again, like from this angle, it's pretty easy for you to get hacks because they have to pay attention to the Widow. Someone like Winston jumps in early. Like if this was earlier in the fight, if he jumps on the Widow earlier, then you can easily get the hack on the D.Va, and then you guys can take more space with it. And you also have some nice cover here to reload and keep poking, and you can probably farm a little more EMP.
Okay.
Yeah, like this cover, you see, like you do farm a lot, and because you pull them out of position, the rest of your team gets a little more done. What you have to remember is you have to be super efficient with returning back into fights. Yeah. So, give me one moment. So because now you translocated back and then you stood around and you waited a little bit and then you put your translocator on the Mega, but you immediately as you translocate out, you can immediately go invis and try and return to the fight as soon as possible, because your presence is super important. So you didn't have to wait at all. You could have gotten to this point and then throw in the Translocator on the Mega, right?
Okay.
And then you're sort of min-maxing a little more, and you can squeeze out and you get back into the fight a little faster, or even throw it here, you know?
Yeah.
But you just want to get back to the fight as fast as possible.
More
dead.
But you do take an off angle, and you know that's good. Like you pull, you damage D.Va a lot. You force her shift, and then she gets booped down because she had to shift on you. So, like you're taking good angles here from the first fight and go into this fight, because that's all what you always want to do. Just take off angles. You have between the fights. So what I call dead time is basically any time between the fights when you have a lot of time to think how you want to optimize your pathing, where you want to put your Translocator, because now when the fight is reset, now you have to, as soon as the fight is over, think about where is the optimal Translocator placement, because now you haven't replaced your Translocator and it's still on your Mega. So if you start poking here and you get forced out and then they jump in and start the fight over here, it might take a long time for you to get back into the fight, right?
Okay. I think the next fight I put it further forward. I can't remember.
So you hack all the packs, which is fine because of the shorter cooldown on the hack.
Yeah.
Just farm up the EMP.
Just go UP barrage.
But wait until they come on the wing. Just might get boots on the bridge.
Yeah, you see, like you Transcate out so far. So like now there's a potential opening that maybe they would have engaged, and it takes a while for you to get into the fight, or maybe say that Winston has an ult and he jumps in and he can start isolating your Ana, and then you have to choose, oh, do I EMP the Winston because he's killing our Ana, or do I EMP them on the bridge? Like what do I do? And now you're playing a little bit blind. But if you replace your Translocator there, for instance, you still have a Mega to go to. Your healers can easily heal you as well, and you're much closer to the fight, and you can immediately peel off their dive if they dive first off of your Translocator, like if they really tempo shift.
More on a fade.
And even now, like you place it super far back. And this felt like a risky EMP as well, because but also you're under pressure because you don't really have time, right?
Yeah.
Because you're poor rollout, you don't have time to read the situation. So now you're already shit. I have to EMP. They're jumping in. Whereas if you Translocated further up, you could already be taking this angle, and you could be reading, or even be here, and you could be reading the situation much better. Because now Brig is coming, so here she bashes. But if she hadn't bashed, this position where you decloak to use your EMP, like you wouldn't be able to use your EMP without the risk of her canceling if she hadn't used it, you know. But if you're here or here and she's looking up front, you know, there's a much lesser risk of that. But that's like, again, try and get back into the fight faster. Here you don't get punished, so it's whatever. Again, immediately dead time. Where do I place my Translocator? Yeah, here you can see you thinking about it. But again, you didn't meet. As soon as the fight was over, you didn't destroy it. Fight is over, destroy it and start thinking about it.
Okay.
Like that should be like automatic. And because of that, like,
should be farming,
and because of that, you wasted so much time. You Translocated to your Mega, you placed your Translocator there, you hacked the Mega over on the other side, you had this, and now you missed out so much time, and now you're replacing it again. So you've wasted so much time because, like you don't have that. It doesn't come automatically. Just
could have farmed it.
Destroy it. But this is a lot better. You see what I mean? Like now you're immediately in the fight. Your supports can still heal you. They're here. Even if they push you, your Translocator will be up before anyone can punish you, and you can easily throw it out, and you can still help with a hack and with pressure and to farm EMP here. So this Translocator placement was much better.
Yeah, I saw some Overwatch League people doing roof Translocators, especially because people won't really find them either.
But you don't have to the Translocator you place here. You don't have to rush it either.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be rooted in this position. Like you can still move up, you know, you can still take this position and hold onto your Translocator potentially if you expect them to push. Or even now, because you never want to be in a position where you're decloaked, like you're not cloaked, and you put your translocator too close to yourself when they can easily decloak you. So say he doesn't get this boop and they push up a little more.
Oh right, so if they got me,
if they got me, you translocate so close and they can just finish you off, right? So so in this situation, it's better to either hold on to the translocator and read their movement, and then if they push you, you can throw it back to the mega on your side, or immediately throw it a little further, like throw it over there and then push this angle, because if they use gap closers to push you over here, then you're translocating to the other side, and then they don't have gap closers to punish you over there, right?
Okay.
So you want to put a little bit of a distance and go to the opposite angle of where your translocator is generally in these situations.
Okay.
Okay, they have beads. So have to come. They're gonna primal into point. I'm gonna try and hack monkeys who goes across. You think they have primal? Oh, they would have. Fuck, dude.
I'll put mine some point.
Yeah, this is one of those other situations where you go for a very dangerous decloak.
Yeah, I realized as I did it that I kind of locked out that she bashed the wrong way.
Yeah. Because if you get bashed here, you could potentially die, and a good brig will probably bash you. The problem is you decloak around a corner just because you see the low Winston, but you can never do that. You're like let me see.
Gotta kind of know my surroundings before I do.
Exactly. It's the same thing with your EMP in that situation, right? So like in this situation.
You think they've primal? Oh, they would have.
I'll put mine some point.
Yeah.
Right, and you did have enough time before the fight to even like go all the way up here, and then you can see everyone and still farm your EMP from there, right? Okay. And then Brig can never bash you. So if you have enough time, you can easily take this position as well, and then this doesn't happen because now you're working with such limited information with just seeing through this.
Bro, he was 5% away from prime.
They get killed. Like it's
you just have to go off of like healing, basically.
Yeah.
Did they use any?
What?
No, but let's focus on this. Just Moira. Let's focus on this.
Let's try and get to point straight away.
So you guys called to go point. Is that something you guys always do?
Yeah, because we find that pushing onto this point is awful. So we basically try to beeline it.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right in terms of if you guys can secure that position,
the corner,
then you have a gigantic advantage. But also in first fights, if you guys play against a good team and they see that all of you are funneling through this little door,
they'll cut the back line.
Yeah, exactly. They will push into you, and they will be able to swing on essentially 5 people. Their D.Va will go here and boop you out, and then you guys are just gonna get sandwiched and killed. Like,
do you think we should go around the cliff instead then? As in go around the outside to the point.
No, because then if they see that, then they can still beat you to they can still beat you to that corner, and then you might not be able to go through the door, right? Like if the Reinhardt charges, he can beat you to that corner. I think if you look at Lijiang on this stage, Contenders EU finals between Angry Titans and Hurricane, this exact situation happens where AT tries to go in here, and British Hurricane push into them and force the fight in this area. They don't let them go there, and Numlock farms his shatter in
with a 7-second or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the good teams will do that. They will punish that. So generally what most teams in Overwatch League do is they go for bubble trades here because they understand that they can't, unless you win the bubble trade heavily and the enemies have to fall back this way, then you can probably secure either push them or secure this space. But if neither team has used any cooldowns, then like doing this is very risky. And you can see, if these guys
he's new to scrimming as well, so he doesn't read rotates.
Yeah. But it's also, even if he was moving with you,
it'd still be risky. Yeah.
And now he's in a position where it's like, well, I can't really go here, right? Because I'm gonna get killed, so he has to go back. And if your opponents were a good team, they would either push you here, or they would just send their D.Va and Lucio to kill your Zen, and then you're in no position to help him, and you guys just lose the first fight. So you're lucky.
I was gonna say, do you think it's possible to like, if you got like 5 seconds back to where you were before?
Okay, give me a second.
As in when the freeze we were at earlier, where where the Rhine was standing, is it possible to like kind of funnel your backline past your Rhine as he stands still? Like your Rhine just kind of stays there, and then your backline kind of just moves towards point before anyone else moves.
I don't think it's, again, a good team will see, like they will read your movement. They will read the movement to your backline. They will see that you're not spaced out, and they will all push into you as you're holding this, because they will okay, you guys have no intention of trading, and even if you do try to trade, they know that they will win the trade HP wise, because their Reinhardt will be swinging on like 5 people, whereas you will be swinging on 1, and that's why you see in Al most divas just meet here. Most Reinhardts just meet here, and the rest of the team is just super spread out. And then you will usually see a standard bubble trade over here, and then the fight usually starts and ends over here.
Okay.
Because a good team will never let you get away with that.
All right. I'll pay attention to it.
And it's something you guys can punish a lot as well if you see.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. That other teams doing the same thing.
Yeah. Because now they don't catch him, so.
Yeah.
But now when you have secured this position and they didn't punish you, like they're, like you guys have, you guys have point presence, the point's opening. Something you can also look a little more for, because this is also I think I said, like, in terms of you're a little more passive.
Yeah.
As soon as they bubble through here, you and your Lucio can try and sort of minigame and look for double boops.
Once they're Ryan.
Boom.
Yeah.
You if you were in sync with your Lucio, you could be going this way and amplify the boop and then boop him over here, and then it's already kind of a free kill, but it would definitely be a free kill, right?
Yeah.
So you can try and synchronize with your Lucio and say.
Yeah, we do sometimes double boot, but it's more like Zarya's and high ground and stuff.
Yeah. But you can do that to bully Reinhardt as well. Like you see a lot of AL teams do that. You can synchronize it, especially when you have map control and you know they have to funnel through. You know they will have to target bubble to funnel through a choke point. You guys have like guys can take off angles and ride on walls like Lucio can here. Then you guys can definitely abuse that.
Okay.
We might be able to just win with rally actually.
Yeah. I think we can play off.
Yeah, we hold them in the choke and build rally first.
They're going top. Try to boop them.
Yeah. Just focus. No, they're not top. There's Ryan on.
What?
Poke shield.
Okay, they're all
Right, Discord.
Ryan half inch.
We can back, wait for rally.
Kite to point.
Okay, they trounce super early. That's very good for you. Reinhardt gets stuck though. A little lucky.
Some weird boot, yeah.
Good no more call.
I realized it calls. I saw the Discord. I wanted to delete him.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that you read that and read the Discord and go for the kill. Something you guys can do, like, to make calls cleaner in these fights where you're switching targets, is to also call switch. Like instead of going Zarya, D.VA, if you just say like
Zarya's a switch Zebra.
Yeah, if you go Zarya, no switch, because everyone was like D.VA, and then if someone says
so it kind of alerts people that they need to change their target.
Exactly.
That there is another target.
And then you're not cluttering comms at all as much.
Yeah.
So in situations like this, when you guys have grav combo and shatter, and you guys opt to go for a hide shatter, but I think this, you can do this when you're at an ult disadvantage. You need a big player. You don't have other ults to play around.
Okay.
Right.
So it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I think it's unnecessary because you have better ults. Because if they noticed it and pushed him, there's a chance you'll lose your Reinhardt and you lose this fight before you even using your combo, right?
Okay.
Or at least be in a position where if they notice him, you guys force the fight in the choke point. So you guys are positioned in like your position. Let me play it back. Like you could be positioned here potentially.
Okay.
He's going for it. The rest of your team potentially stands here, and if they move this way and notice him, immediately you guys speed boost into him, and then you help him as well, and then you force the fight over here. Because now it's very risky because you're split, and then he has to kite back this way. There's a potential for enemy Lucio to boop him and things like that. And you don't really want to introduce that much variance into this fight when you guys have map control, energy advantage, and a combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he almost gets caught here. But now when they chased him and didn't catch him, and you guys control this corner, now they're fucked because now you guys have all the boops, and now they use their bubble. They will never be able to get in here. So
yeah, so they kind of threw away the advantages.
Yeah.
It's because sometimes so our Ryan is like he likes sneaky shatters, and they work out well for the most part. But I think for the most part, I think the geometry on this map works different to other maps where he's done sneakies, where he wants us to like distance ourselves. So play the normal corner, so it looks like, so it doesn't make it obvious that we have no Rhine. So like Blizzard World third defense, like he'd like shatter near their spawn, so we would still stay back all the way at the corner. But it's kind of a different situation because we have line of sight with him anyway.
I mean, even here it would have been sort of okay. It's just, you know, the only my biggest point is that
it was superfluous in a way.
It's just like you guys have to position to make sure you guys can help him in case he gets all in, you know. So you're committing to that play.
Yeah, it was just a slightly different situation.
Rhino charge on point. Rhino. You can look for a bomb here, honestly.
Yeah, you could have held your matrix a little more,
So
because you knew they were retaking with the grav.
Yeah.
And you hid from their bomb, and then you immediately, as soon as you peeked around the corner, you matrix without knowing where the Zarya was, and then she has the window to grav. Maybe you'll lose the fight anyway, but at least you make it harder for the Zarya. So yeah, don't have to rush your matrix.
Yeah, sometimes there's just like insane variants where some Zaryas are like really early grabs and some are really late.
I mean, in that situation,
without scouting, I can't.
Yeah,
really...
in that situation, it's also a case of let me play it back. Because you have to, if you think about his positioning as well. So you know that Zarya is still probably pretty far back, and
yeah, in retrospect, we have beat and with split anyway.
So if she snipes it now, it's fine. Like you guys can probably still tank it. Worst case scenario, they don't have D.Va bomb. They snipe the grav, and you immediately D.Va bomb your own your own team to zone them off, and then they will never be able to like follow up on the grav, right?
Yeah.
And that's also something a lot of divas do. Like rather than comboing their NL at least, rather than comboing their bombs with their own gravs, they counter bomb.
Yeah.
But you peek out and you waste the matrix, right? So
yeah.
And now you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to, again, your focus is just Zarya's coming back with the grav. How do I deny her? If I don't deny her, do I bomb it?
Okay.
Again, like your Zarya and Reinhardt just need to talk about their bubbles. They're not talking about it at all, because you will retake space based on your bubble cooldown. So it's super important. Like your Zarya calms that, and you guys dictate tempo, and then it makes life easier for everyone. And then you guys can tempo shift as a team. Because now you just use them, but you already used them while they were already giving you guys that space, and then you just stay in that space, and then you get a pick, you know. I don't remember whether there was anything else that was crucial here. Yeah, another thing where your Zarya doesn't calm that she's gonna
cool grab. Yeah, that's something we're doing as well to cool Qs as well. Yeah. This is probably what, like a third or fourth scrim.
Yeah, but it's just a player tendency, and it's super important because you have to know what he's thinking, because you're play, you know, like you
cooldowns and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. In theory, like when you see the matrix, you should know that your Zarya is gonna snipe. But if your Zarya says she's matrix, I'm gonna snipe it 3, 2, 1 or something like that, then you would already be moving into this space, right?
To get close to the grab. Yeah.
Yeah, and already now, while it's still flying, you would be shifting in and like flying upwards, right? And then so it places down. But now you have to react to it. And then your bomb is a little late, and the placement isn't optimal.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, this was another one of those situations. I mean, she kind of farmed the grav a little bit fast, but it's important, even if your Lucio or whoever tracks your ults doesn't track the Zarya, that you also pay attention to like whether she might have it, because you can see like the way she moves here, she wants to pressure you because to like get it off, like you're her priority. So
Okay.
And then you could potentially do these mining where you shift away from her, and then you flick your matrix onto her,
Yeah.
and then potentially eat more grubs.
Okay, now push point. There's a break on point.
Here you should be a little more careful, because
Yeah.
you guys have such a huge lead. You should just protect it and play behind your Rhine shield. But you push into bash range, and these two
Okay.
could have potentially killed you. So
One shot, yeah.
yeah,
No bubbles, no bubbles, no bubbles. Break first, break first. Sorry, no
it's an important thing. Like anytime you pick an enemy Rhine and you have a shield, just trying to protect that lead, because they will
Okay.
need to make a proactive move to bring the fight back. Okay, moving to Blizzard World, I think there were a lot
Yep.
of things. Honestly, it's just like as far as the way your frontline plays, it's mostly the same stuff.
Okay.
You guys communicating bubbles and stuff, but you will see a lot of good points for yourself. Yeah. So see, your main tank says you can bubble me here for energy.
Yeah.
Your Zarya has the target bubble, but she doesn't respond to anything. So now you're in this dead space where you yourself don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
He expects the bubble, but he doesn't get it. Everyone's
Yeah.
sort of moving up, but he doesn't say anything, right? So it's super
Yeah.
important that they start talking with each other. Because now you're being lapped a bubble rotation, right? Like I think
Yeah.
they might have already used a target,
Yeah, they did at the start.
and you're just feeding your ult HP, and you
And the
still
shield as well.
haven't used a target bubble. So your
Okay.
Zarya is so behind an energy. Now
And then they bubble now. Yeah.
now you bubble when everyone is moving backwards, so you
Mm-hmm.
can't take any space with it. You don't, if
And
it,
I have bubbles again first.
yeah, and then he's like, oh shit, I got a bubble, I need to push in.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
were on the back foot.
So you're all very much not in sync in terms of your movement
Yeah.
forward and backwards, and that's because of the lack of communication in the front line.
Okay.
And then because your shield was already low, and you started
Pressure
pushing with your
takes-
bubble, like you just died to it.
Okay, they probably have chance close.
Because we stack so well, that's how the Rhine's building up their Shatter Fire Strike so quick. So you just have to be.
Yeah, shatter.
We stack really well, so that's the reason.
What do they have? Shatter?
Combo, shatter.
No, not combo. Yeah,
Close.
Yeah, I mean your coach isn't wrong in terms of you do need to spread out a little bit, especially when you're taking space. But the biggest issue is just you guys aren't taking
Bubble
space.
rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they get ready to speed up.
But yeah, you do have to think about like not making it easy for the enemy Reinhardt. And you see, like now the bubble comes
Yeah.
out while the shield is still up.
They're backing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now like this is like no one is controlling this, so this
Yeah.
could be a chance for you to
time.
just fly up here, right? Because you can still matrix if your team falls back, and this is a
Yeah.
perfect position where you can draw aggression. And
Okay.
and if your team falls back this way and the enemies push them, then you're shooting them in the back. You're getting a lot of ult
Yeah.
charge. If they start focusing, you can fall back a little bit, but immediately that relieves pressure on your front line, right? They
Okay.
they can't push really past this point if you're holding this position.
Yeah.
Unless they really have a lot of kill catch potential if someone's super low.
Trying to kite for shatter.
Like now if you were already here 2 seconds ago and you were uncontested, you can even push up here, right? And
Yeah.
shoot them in the back. And automatically they have to fall back because or the Rhino has to angle shield upwards and they can't go as aggressively, or they have to send a Discord and a D.Va your way,
Okay.
or even a Lucio to push you. But now they don't have to worry about it because you're playing so passively and you're losing out on a lot of ult charge as well.
Okay.
Speeding out.
Okay, you guys got out the rally. That's good.
We're getting ults too. They have everything except rally and shatter now.
Right one, nice. Walk up. They have no bubble. Pressure right now. They have no bubble.
Again, in this situation, but what's the number one priority for you?
As a diva.
If you replay this situation again,
I'm not sure since Azara is dead.
where should you go?
Top.
Exactly. Again, if they're already going to be falling back because of this pick,
Yeah.
and if you and your Lucio can control this, and then the rest of your front line can control that corner, now you're taking away most of the map, and now they're not really going to be able to retake that space because you're controlling the high ground over them. Again, if you guys take control of this corner, they can't push into you, one, because they don't have a Zarya and they don't have bubbles, and two, because you will just shoot them in the back, right? And then you can fly into them and boop them potentially and kill. Like, immediately your playbook opens up as long as you can control the space, and you can use your Lucio to hold it too. Like, if the enemy D.Va is playing there, you two can go up and push her. If enemy Zarya is playing there, you two can go up there and push her. You know, like, because they shouldn't be able to play this position.
Yeah.
And even now, you know, like, you exchange beats, but this shatter has a much higher chance of landing if you're shooting from this angle. You know, like, the whole fight just completely changes if you have that position. And I guarantee you would have your bomb 100 years ago. Yeah. You could even, like, because, like, if you would find yourself in deeper positions, another play that would open up is if your Zen can manage to get a Discord on their Zen, and, like, the enemies are pushing, they're not really exactly. You can,
like Note does. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just having more options, you know, like taking that position, that off angle makes it easier for your team, as long as you don't require resources, as long as you take care of your HP. You know, then that opens up everything, both in terms of what you can do and what your team can do. Yeah, just sloppy grab here.
Yeah.
As soon as your Zarya grabs here, it's kind of over. You get a little bailed out because they use grab as well.
Zen kills like 3.
Yeah. But it's important. It's clear that when you guys want to dry fight. And not waste.
No, we're definitely working on it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you take that position, you guys, like, that scenario doesn't even exist with a Zarya pick.
Okay.
They won't have a full, like, good foothold on point. Look, they're scared. They're scared. They're not here. They just push. Okay. First, take the ball on point. Run.
Yeah, it's an okay bomb. But yeah, again, like, your opponents aren't contesting this at all. So
yes, I could take it.
Yeah, it's yours free. It's usually harder because sometimes fully charged Zaryas will walk up there. Oh, we see immediately.
Instantly,
right?
yeah. I realized when I did it, I could have been doing them all.
Immediately, it's so hard for them. Like, you don't have to even drop here. Like, you could have kept playing this, like, shoot them in the back. They look up at you. Your team can push into them, right? But so immediately you get an angle, and you get, like, if you don't take that top angle, you don't kill the Ryan that easily.
Right. Yeah.
And even now, like, they're still staying in this fight because you guys aren't controlling top.
Okay.
They don't have a Reinhardt, but yeah, they only have to worry about one angle, and all the damage is going into your shield. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you guys get full health now, right?
Yeah, we do. I don't even think we touch.
I think you do, but it's scrappy. Like, there's not much.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Zen behind you guys.
Yeah. Not much to go through there.
Yeah.
It's like on the end, like.
No, you play
Probably scouting.
There's someone on mid.
Okay, so you guys play against Sombra, right?
Sombra GOATS.
Yes, they do play Sombra.
So, again, from your point of view, like, how do you change your mindset against Sombra GOATS?
I'm trying to look to tickle hacks to try and stop the pressure on the Rhine, but can also stay aggro on their front line because they've got no D.Va to contest me if I take high grounds or whatever.
From, like, a macro perspective, how does 3-3 play into Sombra?
So we can be more aggressive on their front line because they have less damage mitigation. We can take a 5v6 if the Sombra's caught out of rotation.
Yeah, and their Sombra just wants to take an off angle, right? She wants to take an off angle, get a hack. If she gets a priority hack and pulls people out of position, then the Sombra GOATS in a neutral fight can potentially take space. If she doesn't get a hack, then you guys can just potentially push away from her and run over the opponents, right? So your job is to make sure that she doesn't get hacks off.
Yeah, they're gonna go GOATS. Sombra goats. Like corner.
So as soon as the Reinhardt goes here, where should you go? What should you be worried about? Like what?
Left side or top.
Exactly. Like those are the only positions where she could come from. So you could either play on top yourself, or you could potentially play like a little closer to the Reinhardt and watch for her decloak, because that's the only way she can get a hack on him. Because now the way you're positioned now, like you can get hacked from a lot of different angles, from top, from behind, from left, from everywhere.
Okay. We win the front line here.
And now as soon as, unless you guys are pushing into them, like you should be looking around now.
Yeah.
Not shooting this choke point. As soon as they go left, okay, you find the Sombra. But if they would have rotated like this, immediately you look behind. You think about, okay, I need to protect my team from the high ground and from behind, until the Sombra is found. But you guys actually find her here, so they actually path the same way their Sombra goes, which they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So now it's fine. Like you're saying you're denying Sombra, but now you can see that she's already putting herself out of position, and you got this kill, right?
You can just roll it forward at that point.
Exactly, just roll forward.
Keep pushing. Fuck the Sombra. Go forward.
Because now, say you don't get this kill. Because this is another thing that Sombra GOATS can potentially abuse. Say you don't get this kill, the enemy team is falling back, and you shift this far to fight her, and then she TPs out. And she TPs out, and she TPs out in a position where she's still behind the enemy Ryan shield, and then they have like a 6v5 for a little bit because you're pulled so far out of position, right?
Okay.
But if you see her going up here, and you guys have an opening to push, like she's not gonna farm for free in the back. Just ignore her push, but still remember that she's there. Make sure she doesn't get to farm. But you don't want her to pull you out of position and bait you out of position too much.
Speeding. They top. Xenon point. Okay, they have nothing.
I'll try my best to take this Sombra when she's hacking. You guys just focus on the front line.
Yeah, just spy checking here, which is good. You're doing on high ground, which is the best angle for her. But also, it's going to be very hard for her to hack from here, because a lot of your other teammates can also help from if the Ryan rolls up here, your break can potentially a lot of people can still stop the hack from here. So if you guys are playing over here, most likely the hack is going to come from here or from where you're playing. So
okay.
Left side.
Yeah, as soon as you voluntarily drop from high ground, she gets it. And then immediately you have to give up space, because that's their cue. We gotta have hack, we can push. And now they take this corner, and she controls high ground. And once she controls high ground like that, now it's very difficult for you to go up there. Even if you guys start retaking space, and they kite back a little bit, and you push into her. If she gets resources like orb, she can farm 50% off of you, and even potentially demake you or push you off. And then as soon as you're pushed off and you're low HP, then they re-push again. That's how
same place,
that's how the Sombra GOATS should be tempo shifting. But she gives up high ground voluntarily as well, so she makes a mistake as well. Because if she's standing here, your Reinhardt has to angle his shield there,
and that's free farm.
And this guy can take the off angle, right? Because then Reinhardt can push from here, Zarya can push from here, Sombra can push from here, and then you're even if you go here, then the Zarya is uncontested, right? And if they push the Zarya, then these guys can punish, and she can punish, so they would be taking a lot of off angles very well. But now their Sombra goes below, and I think she gets her Transcator forced out, which she should never do.
Yeah.
But now when her TP is out, when she has forced out, you guys play aggressively, which is good. But considering the mistake you made, and she sort of made a mistake.
Yeah, so it could have been an easier fight than it was.
Do they have a defense ult? Yes.
They're gonna have chance, shatter, EP probably.
It's super important you guys have sort of a proactive fight against EMPs, or at least it should be clear how are you gonna tank it? One person hiding, and then maybe you and a support dodging it, and then you can matrix to buy time for the support ult to come out.
Yeah.
But now you guys don't really have a plan around it, so
it's like a surprise.
Six people get EMP'd, so it's super important to know who's gonna dodge and how you're gonna dodge it.
Yeah, We've also started playing like on payload parts. We started playing further up just to tank EMP like off cart.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely surprise them with pushes. If you watch back the Shock game from yesterday, Shock against who did they play? Shanghai, and how they rolled them on Eichenwald. Ding was constantly out of position. You know, like he was going this long flank on an off angle to find the back lane with the EMP. But his timing was off because Shock were just so aggressive and they were pushing into the enemy team constantly, right? So he could never get any good EMPs off, and they just got steamrolled. So you have it's good if you mix up your tempo. Like sometimes you can tank the EMP defensively and counter it with your ults, but it's also good to mix up your tempo, especially when you have map control. If you have map control, you can always dictate tempo.
Yeah.
Here's good. Like you see how much you get done with this off angle. Like you're playing on a high ground with an off angle, you get so much done. Okay, yeah, you're chasing it a little bit. That's exactly what they want. So now potentially, if her Translocator placement is good and they would regroup, they could force a fight here when like 3 of you are out of position.
Okay. I think since they were in spawn, I just wanted to see if I could catch her up.
Yeah. But, yeah. Yeah. So now you know she's gonna be close to EMP, right? So what could your team do better here?
Hide supports or play further up to try and waste time.
So what do you think is a good position? If you know they have your enemies have EMP here, you still have time to like plan out the fight. Where would you put your team?
I think if we pushed up earlier, we maybe could have held at the spawn and try and see if they'd EMP there, so that they're not pushing cart in the whole fight.
So what a lot of teams, especially in 3-3 mirrors, do is they just position themselves here on this high ground.
Okay.
Because what it does is your enemies can't really path this way, because then you can drop on the back line at any time. So they have to path this way, and then you guys probably meet them over there, right?
Yeah.
And then they can fight for this corner, or they path around and for the map, but that's like too far considering where the payload is. So immediately by playing this position, you take away this pathing. You also another thing you accomplish is if they're coming back with EMP shatter,
she has to come up the stairs to EMP.
She has to come up the stairs, exactly. Your brick can just stand here and swing and spy check.
Yeah.
And even if she EMPs you,
they can't shatter.
Exactly. You take away the EMP shatter because you play a more dominant position. And and if they do path like this and you guys want to meet them, now you have a better hiding spot. You know, then you can hide here, like a support or you or whatever. And then if they EMP your front line, then you can counter it. If they EMP your back line, well, then your front line, like your shield doesn't go. But you immediately have much more room to hide, right? Because you're controlling all of this, right? You're not giving them any map control for free, which immediately makes it gives you guys more hiding spots and gives you more it's give you a chance to, if you spot the Sombra on point, like say your team is here, Sombra goes on point to draw aggro, right?
Yep.
Then you could potentially stop it and the rest of your team can push in, or like everything just opens up.
Yeah.
Or you can put your break to stop the card, and then the rest of you can push in. But still, that's like a good way to negate their EMP or make it harder for them. Whereas now you don't really have anywhere to hide. You're giving up the high ground. You're calling split, but it's just like it's much harder because you don't all the map control you could have had for free. Now you're giving it up. Now you're just playing here. And even now, like you could be potentially on high ground here.
Again.
Because you guys are controlling this corner. So if you're playing there, even as you guys are falling back, you have another off angle, and you're also in a position where you can dodge the EMP and potentially matrix. So if you dodge the EMP by playing this position, and another support does as well, then you can potentially still counterplay their play, like the EMP shatter. But now she gets everyone again. So you always want to try and suffocate the Sombra goats. Like, don't give them room to play. Play a higher tempo. Play the dominant positions. Like, don't be afraid. Obviously, I understand that Sombra can go and pressure the payload and pull people out of position, but always look for ways to, you know, negate that and just play a higher tempo.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can sustain with trans.
Okay.
Actually, no, beat because trans is better.
Trans, yeah.
Trans is better for the grab.
Yeah, you're right. E for sustain. Come forward.
So again, in terms of pathing, what do you think you guys could be
Yeah,
doing?
I think I vaguely said go high ground, but then the Rhine went under, so it went with him.
Exactly. Because if you guys go high ground, there's no way your Zen dies here, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys are all of these guys would be like all of you would be tighter with each other.
Yeah.
Because now you're worried about your front line that is moving into the fight, and then you have to worry
back line.
about the Zen as well. And then
Yeah.
she has a great angle where she can shoot from afar. If you guys go up top, she doesn't have an angle that is like this open. You don't want to be this far
Yeah,
out
she
in the
has to,
open.
she has to come to us.
Yeah. Because now you lose your trance. As soon as the trance,
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky they commit. We shouldn't have committed.
yeah, and you immediately called that. As soon as your Zen died, you were like, "Don't commit." But your Lucius still beat it, and you're completely right. Like you shouldn't make that mistake. But once your trance is out of the fight, you can't win that fight.
Damage control. Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is kind of what leads to the snowball.
Yeah. No, to start with, we definitely had like the mentality where we were trying to win every fight when we really didn't have to.
Beat trans.
Like, trying to full hold everything. Roll
And here
everything
it's
we
super
could
important
set.
to because your Zarya will be a late spawner. If you guys are going for this fight, communicate ahead of time who's gonna touch.
Yeah.
Because again, you commit your shift and your Zen commits the trance. Like
Yeah, for the same thing.
exactly. You could have shifted up here,
Okay.
and then your Zen could have touched, or you can go, but then your Zen can hold his trance for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and we have a VMP.
Yeah, and then if you take this position, maybe you can dodge the EMP and clutch with bomb, or
Yeah.
Again, you have a more dominant position. But now you guys didn't communicate, so both of you went there, and then
Still
just
lose.
feed, and then you waste like these last two fights are just disastrous for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They don't have grab just yet.
They have trans.
Double defensive for sure.
But you see, like all of these issues are not because the Sombra Goats is doing something else. It's just you guys like self-inflicted issues
Errors.
from you
Yeah.
guys in terms of pathing, in terms of not suffocating them properly, like giving the Sombra too much time, and being too slow to tempo shift, and it's a super easy fix. Just in terms of playing those positions. Again, another situation where your Zarya doesn't call your grab, so you just have to
Yeah.
throw it because you're not ready for that at all.
Yeah. No, I wanted to make sure the Zen wasn't getting spawn camp.
No, you're completely right.
I
I'm
should've
just
said
yeah, but your Zarya should call that she's gonna look for a grab,
Okay.
and that she's grabbing, because
Yeah.
then you don't have to react to it. You can be ready,
Force out their lane. I showed.
because like potentially there.
Still trans. Have to.
Yeah, there's like 3 people standing split.
Because you might not even need, if they don't trance, you might not even need the bomb.
Just melt the Rhine, yeah.
Yeah.
Use anything, right?
Because now when you wait, and then you could potentially, because you're playing against Sombra Goats and they play slower, you could potentially D.Va bomb engage in this situation,
Yeah.
right? But because it's so scrappy, you guys are not in sync.
Still trans.
You can't make the read whether you need to use your bomb or not.
Yeah, I just trusted the Zara and chucked it.
Yeah. But that like kind of fucks your ult economy again,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your tempo shifting is very sloppy here.
Yeah, we still caught too long.
Yeah. You guys wanted to go out, but then you didn't. Again, the Zarya bubble came out late, so your Rhino was trying to get value out of it. So you guys aren't falling back, but you're not committing in either with the trance.
Yeah, so no, that's another thing there. Dying cart more. Yeah.
Dying card, but also just tempo shift and trust it. And like prematurely tempo shift. So like they rally, you're gonna be like back. And then it's super important for your supports to say like if they have a rally or a trance, we can re-engage with trance, or we can do this. Then you can pull your enemies will take all the space you give them and then potentially overreach, and then you can potentially punish that with your trances and your support ults.
Yeah.
So you're not going backwards when you use your support ult.
Yeah, that's fine. We have time. Right, no. Pressure Rhine.
Close speed up, close speed.
It's good that you turn your ass towards the Sombra as well, so she can't shoot your head and farm more
Headshots,
EMP.
yeah.
Yeah.
Break on point.
Break. Sorry.
Nice. Keep going.
Okay, after another repeat.
Yeah.
Cover
A lot of the team-wide issues stem from just like that lack of communication and you guys not being on the same page in terms of the tempo shifts. But that's more so on everyone else.
I'm gonna grab early.
But obviously on this map, you know, just controlling the high ground and off angles is super important. And then you can get a lot more done. Okay, here he played against a lot of DPS, right?
Yeah, I think so. Shit, there's a fucking LA trade.
Depends on the situation.
LA Valiant traded Fate to Florida Mayhem
Oh.
in exchange for McGravy and Fact Fiction and Shax.
Oh, that's official now.
Yep. Oh, of course you know already.
Oh, this was just a goat's mirror, right?
I think they attack with DPS.
Okay, yeah. Well, we can touch on a couple of, I think you guys, I think this was pretty clean. There were just a couple of small things. So first off, in this neutral fight,
Take top.
yeah, that's what most AL teams do.
No, I think sometimes we've done it, sometimes we haven't.
Yeah. So it's just
shaky.
important that you guys have a plan because now
Yeah.
your Reinhardt walks up and takes all of this damage. It's fine for him to walk up, get bubble, give energy to your Zarya, fall back, wait for your next bubble rotation, and then either push top and drop on them, or try to do some kind of a fake, or you know like mix it up, or just take this corner together as a team, like go 3, 2, 1 and speed boost in when you have your bubbles, but
rather than just funneling through.
Yeah, but yeah, it has to be clear. Like, are you guys trying to push this corner now, or are you just trying to get energy? If you're just trying to get energy, then your positioning is fine, and Zarya's positioning is fine. But if you guys want to take the corner, then it isn't. And then your Brig shouldn't play that. If you just want to charge energy, your Brig obviously shouldn't play too close to the Reinhardt because he's just trying to draw aggro and damage, right?
Yeah, so she's in risk.
Yeah, she doesn't need to take any unnecessary damage. Boom. Now you have a terrific opening. They used their target bubble second. They shouldn't be able to kill you here. You should just preserve HP here and all in with your next bubble rotation.
Yeah, I think I said we have second. We have bubble early.
Yeah, and they overreach here. So.
And then we'll have the wasted bubble anyway.
Even if exactly. Like even if they didn't die, you guys could have waited for your next target bubble and just all in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but wait, how did your Ryan fall?
I think they bubbled him early. I think, yeah, they bubble here.
Yeah, again, because he's not ready, you know, and it's not just about I'm bubbling you. It has to be bubble in 2, bubble in 3, and then he can ask for it as a resource as well. The only time I heard your Ryan asking for a bubble as a resource was in Blizzard World when he didn't get
bubble
it.
For
right?
energy, yeah,
exactly. But it's super important because now you have this, and like now you're in the same position as we talked about on lead gen. You can just protect your lead with your shield. You don't have to rush it. Play behind shield and punish them. But yeah, it's super important that if he gets bubbled, that he can at least save his shield a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't want him to hold shield when he's getting bubbled. And ideally, he should be saying like, just play a little safer, control this corner, understand that your enemies have to make a proactive play, or they're just gonna slowly bleed out.
We just walk up and get whatever.
Again, like you get the bubble here, but you don't know. You know, you could have potentially taken a more aggressive off angle with your bubble, gotten your Zarya more energy, pulled someone out of position. You know, like you could do so much.
Okay, they have bomb beats.
And yeah, like if you guys opted to go for the high ground approach, then you can potentially stay on high ground. Like if you guys went top, dropped on them, then you can stay and read the situation. If you guys are losing the trade and your team is falling back, you can potentially help with boops on the Reinhardt. So yeah, good call by you here. No more.
Yeah, people tend to give up as soon as they see 9. So
I really like your reads here. You tell your Zen to push instead of you, because obviously he can't. Yeah, he can't get up on high ground, but you can.
Yeah. No, I've occasionally misread when to let Zen push, Evan to push, but I've started to get an idea. I think as we play more together as well, we start to work out where we want to set up every point.
Yeah.
It's easier to tell the Zen to go.
But it's good that like you understand that you have to pressure that doorway. You don't want to give them the high ground for free.
Stairs,
they have
yeah.
to work for it, you know. And if they opt to go this way, then you can take
drop.
you can take angles, you know, and you and you have more room to spread out, and it's harder for them to get value out of the rolls.
Not right now. You guys are just hold the stairs forward as long as you can.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, and exactly. You tell them just hold the stairs as long as you can. Like we're not going to bomb engage. This is obviously not a good spot for you to bomb engage.
Yeah.
The cart is still coming round.
And you get so much free push.
Right off.
Wait for the cart to come round.
And it's so brutal to get through that choke point. It's the same thing as we,
horrible.
yeah, like we talked on Lijiang. You know, you kind of have to take corners as a team, but it's such a tight corner that your Reinhardt is essentially swinging on 5 or 6 people. So
Yeah.
you almost can't retake it without an ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Break one.
Bomb in 3.
Probably could have gone up first.
Bombing.
Speeding.
That's fine. Right pin. Right on.
So let me listen to comms here.
We can
Go cart.
Break one.
bomb in 3, 2. Oh, we have grab. Okay, yeah. Bombing.
Speeding.
That's fine. Right pin. Right on.
Bombing.
Yeah, so as soon as you say, okay, we have grab, like you guys have to talk with each other. So again, like he snipes it and
okay.
you're not ready because now your placement isn't optimal either. Because
Yeah.
you could me. You say, oh, you have grab. Okay, Spacer. I'm ready to use it whenever. I'm ready to bomb whenever. Okay, I'm grabbing. I'm grabbing it now. Boom. You go up.
I'm ready to fly up. Yeah.
Your baby. You can land there with your baby, so you immediately have high ground after your remake, and your positioning is better, and you can shoot into the grab with your baby.
That's fine. Right pin.
These little mini games between you and whoever you're making a play with is super important. Same thing here. Like, what do you think in this like 2 second period? What can you do better from here?
Count down the bomb explosion.
No. From here.
Oh, go top again or.
Yep, exactly. You cut your shift super early, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing that we talked about. Like if you're playing up here,
Mm-hmm.
you're most likely gonna draw aggro, right? Like
Yeah.
Your team is already beating to push, so you'll be able to tank so much damage with this beat.
Mm-hmm.
You also know that they have grab, and then Zarya is gonna be like, well, shit. You know, I have to worry about the D.Va eating it, so she's gonna have to shoot you. If she shoots you, it means your Reinhardt can swing, gets like 2 extra swings, right? And your Zarya can pump damage into their Rein, and then you can, you know, judge whether you need to drop or not. But like starting there with your shift is good because that, or you can draw aggro from them. Like you can just split them up, and then if you guys keep pushing and no one is shooting you, then you can keep advancing your position. You know, like if all of you are taking space. But again, like options just open up, and then he probably can't shoot this grab.
Yeah.
I'm shutting me. Wait. Shutting now.
Good catch here. I think just as a rule of thumb, anytime you think your teams are using support ults, you can afford to be a little more aggressive with your positioning.
Okay.
Especially if it means you get on high ground.
They use personal. Yeah. Go rally, try to farm combo.
Again, you know, this is a big issue where you bubble and then you rally, you know, like
Yeah.
you should rally and then push into them with your bubble
Okay.
because then he can swing a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, but again, there wasn't any communication. I think it would probably benefit your teammates in your front line to also watch this and try and sort of communicate and work in that minigame. Yeah. Because the call was good to like rally engage. Everyone is ready to push in. Is just you have to save the bubble for taking space. It can't be a surprise that it's coming.
I think we have review today anyway, so I'll definitely talk some other stuff.
They use trans, they have shadow.
I have bomb again.
Close to graph.
We can bomb chest.
And beat.
Yeah.
They're gonna be close to combo again.
Yeah, I think
Ryan's on card, he's gonna look for
it's not too much here.
Way out of the swings, way out of the swings. Wait for grab. Wait for grab. Just one grab. I'll look for shadow in the meantime, okay?
Ryan's this good.
I'm gonna shatter. My check. No.
Nice shatter.
Sorry.
Nice shatter. Good bomb. Good patience. You hit your ult spikes, break their shield with your energy advantage, and then just hit the shatter. That was solid. And you didn't die, so that was good. So now this is where you guys play against the DPS and you struggle a bit,
Yes.
right?
I think we maybe hold second, but first was rough.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it usually works. That's why no one plays DPS on this map. Or, like, the good teams don't really play DPS on any of these maps because you just usually get out-tempoed by the 3-3. Like, whatever the 3 support variation is, you get out-tempoed, and when you stop, you either continue with DPS, but it's very hard to retake map control with DPS, or you switch to the 3, and then you're switching into an ult disadvantage, which is, so... Okay, let's just
It's
see
kind
the
of like a desperation to take first point kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speeding,
Yeah, it's not a good like long-term investment in terms of finishing the map.
Assuming the response is good.
Go back, just go back to...
So now you're playing against let's see, what's the comp? Sombra with Hammond?
Hanzo, Widow.
Okay, so quad DPS, right?
I think it's quad, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's quad or triple.
So how should you play it as a 3-3 comp, and like how does your role as a D.Va change against this? Against that type of comp?
So there's more pick potential, but it's nuanced in the fact that hacks and getting melted are easier in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's chance to punish positioning more easily individually. But as a team, we need to make sure we're not taking as much spam as we would against other goats. So we're playing into longer range comp as well.
What about how you should like allocate your resources? Say,
so it's going to be less on the Rhine and potentially more on D.Va, since she can contest the DPS more easily.
Yeah, exactly, which is why it's very important when you see this type of a composition that your team understands it and that you are more resourceful in terms of asking for resources.
So Orb and stuff like that.
Orb, I think your Zen is just going to rotate depending on who needs it, but definitely Zarya bubbles. Okay. Because in general, when you play against, especially if you play against Pharah, your job is to pressure the Pharah and get your Zarya energy. Because in general, against these DPS compositions that are very, very, very focused on getting picks, bubbling your Reinhardt is really not going to give you a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
So if you bubble your Reinhardt and not you, then you can't mark the Pharah for as long. Your Zarya doesn't get enough energy, and then you also don't have the bubble in case the Hammond and flankers dive your backline. So really, usually you're gonna bubble either your backline if they get dove, or you will ask for it when you want to mark a Pharah and like relieve a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
Pharah left.
Yeah, Pharah Mercy left side.
So you see Pharah here, and immediately you should be talking with Spacer here, and being like looking for the Pharah.
Okay.
So here, obviously you don't want the card to leave here because you just want to die out on payload and get 3 fights. But also you should probably just wait till your Reinhardt gets up here and touches it. So you could potentially move in here.
Yeah.
Make sure the Sombra doesn't shoot you. Wait for your Reinhardt to get here, and then shift your focus to trying to mark the Pharah.
Yeah.
But you should definitely not shift at her because you can never ever kill her.
And I'm too exposed to the other people as well.
Exactly. And your job isn't to kill the Sombra or anyone. Your job is to mitigate damage, especially from the Pharah, because Pharah is the one getting pocketed. So that's like you have to deny that. But once you shift here, now you're in a position where you can get hacked. You don't know where the Pharah is. Everything's just kind of messed up for you now.
Okay.
But you could have just played slow. Now your Reinhardt could potentially contest instead of playing. He has full shield, so he can easily contest this.
Okay.
And if you're a little healthier and your Zarya is alive, then you can look up in the air, fly at ask for the bubble, and then fly at the Pharah. Or even the Zen. Like you could potentially
Yeah, the Zen as well.
Yeah, you use the bubble, you could potentially kill the Zen. If you don't kill the Zen, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna get 40 energy for your Zarya.
Yep.
Mercy is gonna leave the Pharah, so Pharah is not as aggressive, or she can't shoot, like she doesn't do as much damage. Potentially the Pharah is also gonna try to peel you. So immediately 3 people are shooting you. This means your Brig has a lot more freedom to like maybe push the Sombra, right?
Yeah.
But immediately if you have the bubble and you take that space, then you can do a lot more, and you don't have to go for kills. Say
just zoning.
exactly, like even if the Zen is low here and you fly up, and say you get him to 50 HP, but your bubble fades, and Mercy is on him, and say you can probably still kill him, but you're gonna sacrifice 400 HP. Is that a good trade?
No, because he's in spawn. He's just gonna farm trans.
Exactly. Well, the bigger picture is your bubble has faded. You lost. You're gonna.
And I'm not useful for the rest of the fight until I'm healed either.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna be at 200 HP. You're gonna drop, and then Mercy's just gonna res. Right.
Oh, my res.
So you just traded 400 HP for nothing. Well, you got energy. You got a kill. You slowed their momentum a little bit, but you just wasted so much HP for a res that you can't block and that no one in your team can block. Right. Okay. So really, your mindset is to like be really careful about your HP, but be very proactive in marking. Like you have to mark. You fly up and you're super annoying.
Yeah.
And you force them to reallocate resources without ever having a chance to kill you.
One by one, design for one by one. Space it now, space it now.
I'm on TVs, I'm on.
You okay, dude?
Thought you're gonna die.
No, I'm not.
Have to barrage, have to EP, have to ball ult, have to trans.
Careful for the parables, dogs.
Probably like 17 turns.
Yeah, probably. Same with the EP.
Go to the right. Go.
So again, your Reinhardt is already moving here, and then the call that he's gonna get bubble comes out, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't know that the bubble, like it comes out so late, because this should be like, I'm gonna bubble you for energy, okay? And then then he's gonna call it, right?
Okay.
If you want to do that, because now,
rather than just surprising him saying it straight away.
But in general, against this comp, like you should be getting the bubble, right? So you guys shouldn't be trying to get energy here. You should just try and stop the payload as soon as possible. Path this way that you
walk out
path
through there and bubble fly up top, and then
yeah, and you should be saying space or bubble me, right?
Okay.
But I think target bubble might still be on cooldown now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So exactly, like your goal is to stop the card and play at a high tempo and just waste as much time as possible. And then if you have the bubble, you can easily fly at her and get energy and slow them down.
Zen one.
Behind card. We gotta go soon.
Yeah, but again, your Reinhardt gets bubble. He's gonna get nothing out of this.
Yeah.
So your backline is gonna get farmed, and yeah, you can't mark her.
Cool.
We have time for one more fight.
Trans,
Go Mike.
So this is also a thing. So you say go monkey and go Moira, right? So I think if you want to switch, you should probably switch immediately for the previous retake when your ult charges are lower.
I think we forgot to say it.
Yeah, but now you have to remember they just use this, right? That's their biggest tool to win the fight, and it's with their comp, it's extremely difficult to clear you guys out when the fight takes place here, because there's so many rooms to hide behind. It's very difficult to get value out of the barrage, and then you guys can just play inside rooms, and trance is just so valuable there. Even the shatter, like it might be hard to farm it, but if you get it, you can just solo shatter someone and kill.
Okay.
So if they don't have EMP barrage to close the fight here, then because again, if you can manage to win the fight there with this comp, then they're either pretty screwed or they have to go 3-3, and then you're on your picks already, instead of you potentially going Winston Moira, losing the next fight anyway, and then they go 3-3, and then you're stuck on Moira and Winston, right? And then they have the superior comp, and then you have to swap again, right?
Yeah.
So if it's possible to win with this comp, try. But if you swap, try and swap immediately so that you so you have like more fights with it. Not when you're this close to trans.
Okay.
Probably a Moira too at that point.
Again, it might be different. There might be situations where they do have the EMP, and you're at like 40% or 50% trans, and have to win the fight. You know, there are certainly scenarios, but
Not this one.
yeah, because here like your Winston doesn't really do much. You know, like
Okay.
yeah, he can maybe mark a sniper, but because you guys are
He's
retaking,
choke.
yeah, you guys are retaking map control. You need point presence. You need someone holding this line, and it's
Okay.
much easier to do with Ryan and just playing inside those rooms. As soon as you can transport your supports into those rooms, Farah can't touch them, and Hammond can't touch them, and you guys can just push them off. And then you just look to pressure the Farah.
Melt the mines, melt the mines, melt the mines, melt the mines. Very important.
Help dodge, help dodge, help dodge.
There's a sun behind cars. Don't use anything.
And then even if their Widow would flank and look for an angle this way, then again, like as long as you're playing in those rooms, it doesn't really matter. You know, she can't push like this, and she really has no angle to kill anyone.
Yeah. Okay.
They have no. Only close.
In general, what teams mostly play against these types of comps that they're playing is what you guys are playing, but with
Sorry,
Sombra.
instead of Sombra. Yeah. No, we do that sometimes, but just because we had grabs soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes behind someone.
Again, I'm of the opinion that you guys could have just stuck with the Ryan 3-3 because of how good Ryan 3-3 is. Because there's even on second point, if you guys lose, like there's so many rooms to hide in. You know, it's so hard to play the Hammond if you just hide your Zen like here, up there. You know, if the Hammond can't slam, then it's really difficult for him to do anything.
Send on bridge, send on bridge. Go on, send. You get the ball. And then help me with the send on bridge, send on bridge, send on bridge. I need you guys right now. Send.
Sombra?
Yeah, just need to make sure. Also, another thing you guys can make when you're on the Moira, you can sync up and sort of ask like a resource. Anytime you have Moira ult, you and your Moira should try to minigame and try to kill these guys.
Send on bridge, I need you guys right now.
Sombra?
Because now it just comes out, but it's not ready, you know. But if he goes like, I have Moira ult, we can kill the
Focus Farah. Yeah.
combo. You'd be like, yeah, I have shift in 3. He's like, okay, and then he waits 2 seconds, and then he goes focus Mercy, and then you shift into the Mercy, and she dies.
Okay.
Or the Farah, whoever. You know, if Mercy is Valkyrie, maybe you go for the Farah.
Don't focus on sending anymore. It's too late. You're offline.
But you guys obviously don't have that much teamwork, so a lot of these ults you guys just use individually.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna have another barrage.
Yeah. Like now it's just so hard for the Farah, you know, like you can play in here as well. Like there's so much space to play within. You said you're gonna bomb the pharmacy?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, it's against another play you can look for definitely, especially when you guys were outside fighting them.
In the bridge, yeah.
Yeah. I think you might have thought that you guys can win that fight without you using it, which is fair because you got the Hammond. But yeah, it's a nice bomb. Like now they can't realistically really win the fight because they don't have the res. Your brig is gonna hold that corner, so they cannot push that brig off.
Okay.
So you can definitely go for this, but you can also like ask for resources.
I got the bubble here.
You did? I don't think so. I think you get it, but I don't know.
I did. I didn't call for it, but I did get it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't get the bubble, you might get demeched.
Headshot by the Widow, yeah.
And then if this somehow turns out where you lose your mech and don't force the trance, then you can potentially throw the fight.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, just asking for those resources. Now it works out very well because you pressure the Widow, you force out the trance. And even now it's fine, you know, they use EMP barrage, that's their combo. Now they have nothing. Now you just survive and there's nothing they can do because you have rally and beat. As long as you guys can stall out with those ults. If someone can touch.
So if we stick to the Rhine Zen, is it literally just to like hide and contest for as long as possible?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, I don't mind the Winston. I think the Winston is very good. The Sombra as well. I think that's the optimal comp against 3-3. It's just that when you play that composition,
you then open yourself to get counterpicked.
yeah, exactly. Which like
Okay.
say in a situation where when the map is over here and you have closer spawns, that's still fine, you know.
Yeah.
And like if you have EMP and Winston ult, even if they swap through 3, you can potentially engage on bridge. You still have a lot of options, but
Yeah.
I don't really mind the Winston either. But in general, yeah, your backline should just be trying to use cover. Make sure that your what's it called? Your supports can't get isolated and slammed by the ball.
Hamster.
Yeah, and isolated with the flankers, and then you can afford to take more resources and mark, and then you're just slowly negating all of their threats. You know. Nice killer and a mercier between you and the Winston.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Going back with grab.
Okay, nice.
Still Valk. Are we close to that barrage? After half.
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky now because you do want to be proactive,
We hold the stairs and then we just surge out onto the
but also they can like the Sombra can back up. So
Farah's behind.
Yeah.
good marking here. You see, you just force her off. You don't take any damage. So even though they slam, there's no Farah damage on the slam, you know?
Yeah, there's no
So immediately they lose so much kill potential. And your supports are sort of playing in a position where, like, Sombra can't push or follow up on the slam either, you know?
Yeah.
So you're slowly negating all of the threats one by one, and then they all lose their effectiveness.
I found Send at the Widow. Send at the Widow. Follow top right.
Go Doge, guys. Go Doge, guys.
Yeah, you call them to go, and then you just mark. And you're 2 for 1-ing here.
I'm gonna chase the Widow. Just so you want.
And it's fine. The rest of your team is 5v4.
I'm gonna come back to card. This one.
Sorry, let's sign.
It's very good.
And closer.
High back to stairs. I have bomb. I can bomb pharmacy again. I'll catch one of them.
Once they start moving in,
So now that the payload has gone back a little bit, like now it's not like 3 meters away.
Yeah.
Now you guys should be playing at a much higher tempo and try to engage first. Again, like what I was talking about before, where if you rewatch that Ikemal game between Shock and Dragons, they're playing at such a high tempo, and you guys have the tools. You can. They're coming back with EMP, right? And you have Moira ult and D.Va bomb, so you could potentially all go here, leave your brig like over here. So in case Sombra goes to pressure, she can mark, and then that's fine. You know, if a Sombra with EMP goes to pressure point and your brig just negates it, it's not worth it all. Then you've countered the EMP. While the rest of you can kill the pharmacy so much easier out like over there.
Yeah.
With either your Moira ult and you shift nature or your D.Va bomb than over here. And if you do go there, and then she's like, well, I need to go and help the team, and like it's so easy to put the Sombra in a position where she's like trailing the play, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look if they come behind.
Yeah, okay. MVP, don't they?
And you do that by putting on a tempo. Like she's gonna go behind, she's gonna scout the area, and then if you push away from her, then she's like, she can't really catch up. Especially now when the Sombra dies, you know, like just tempo, you know, control these areas, and then these guys shouldn't be able to fly there. You guys can kill them easily.
Okay.
But you guys are playing so passively, even with 1 up.
I think the mentality was just by the time they respawn, it's one fight, and then we're using lots for that one.
Someone's where I am. Someone's where I am.
But you could keep staggering them and force out a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
And also like by playing those positions, it's much harder for her to EMP. Like she can still get a pretty good EMP on these guys, but yeah. And you guys are playing with limited information. You don't really know where they're going, who's going where. Maybe Wrecking Ball would try to like roll through, and you guys can bash him and force him to take damage, and then the Mercy has to go down and heal him, and then that opens up a play on the Pharah. You know, there's so many things that can go wrong that you can interrupt if you just take a little more map control and you play a little more proactively.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Go for it now. Go for it now. I heard the Sombra. Let's go for Translocator. It's over here. Sombra Translocator. There's a Widow main.
Summer point.
You guys can kill it. Gather Widow. Nice.
Instead, you guys let them get off the combo.
I just sat there.
Yeah.
They trans
And it's not just you. It's just like the general.
Yeah.
You all of you have to take more map control, and then you guys can do more. It's the same thing with you taking high ground and goat smurs. You know, like it's just taking over map control, and then you shut down the options that your opponents have, and you have a lot more yourself. It's the same thing when you guys in your attack pushed up and controlled this, right? You take off you take away this map control, their options are limited. They can't push into this. They go main, and then just through leveraging map control, you guys can snowball. And it's the same thing here. Because in reality, if you guys engage them on the bridge, like what do they do? Your Winston jumps the Zen. You go on the Pharah. What does the Mercy do? Do I save the Zen or do I save the Pharah? Or do both die? And then Sombra is like, where do I go? Who do I EMP? They're so spread. I don't know who to go for. And I'm so out of position. Do I solo EMP someone here? But no one is ready to follow up because, my backline is getting pushed. It's just, as long as you're being proactive, yeah.
They have nothing. They have zeros.
I can bubble you if you jump in.
They have zeros. We can win this fight.
But even now, they blow their combo and they don't have anything else. Your comp is just objectively better.
Yeah.
They don't have a D.Va, you can just snipe it, you get 2. Like 2 is enough. Even 1 can be enough.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can really do. Okay. So that'll be the last map that we watch. I'm just going to show you, because I think I saved a clip where, let me see what it was. Okay. So this is, let me see if I can put it into this, wait, what's going on?
I can look at it through your stream if you want.
Okay, yeah. So this is basically just a game from last night's Shanghai and Shock game, where it sort of shows you everything that I talked about.
Okay.
So Shock are in control. Enemies are retaking with these 2 ults, right? The EMP and Shatter.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly the same scenario you guys had in Blizzard World. And instead of playing on point or controlling a corner, Shock opt to go for high ground. Brig is probably watching this entrance. Someone else is watching this entrance, right? Like D.Va is spamming everywhere. So the EMP Shatter really isn't an option to go to do it here because Sombra can't get up there and then Ryan can't get up there, right? So you take away that combo by just holding the high ground, which is a perfect example how pro teams do it, and it's a good example of how you guys didn't do it on Blizzard World. Beyond that, it also shows like a fast tempo.
Okay.
So now the Sombra is positioned in a way where she doesn't quite have it, but obviously Shock assume that Ding has it.
Yeah.
They wait till Shanghai gets in, which obviously they have to get in. They have to force people to drop so that Ding can EMP. But then they're super decisive in dropping and then focusing down a target. Boom.
Cool.
Right? And then he's still a little bit out of position, right? Because they pushed so aggressively. Even if he has the EMP here, he can't quite catch super. And they already have 1 kill because of how fast the tempo was. So if we think about the Blizzard World scenario again, if you guys took that high ground and their Sombra pressured the point to force you out of position, you guys can make this the same play and then still return to the payload. And then she's like trailing the play, right?
Yeah.
And because that's sort of what she's doing. And obviously in controlled maps that are a little tighter, it's a little harder to force Sombras to trail the play and like force them to kind of what I like to call it, be in dead space. But it's still possible. And it's certainly possible in matches where, like if we pull this up, okay, I think it's over here. Yeah, so this is a good example. This is sort of obviously it's Sombra Goats against Ryan Goats, so it's a little different, but it's still like they're playing around setting up their EMP, which is what your opponents did in that Rialto game, right?
Yeah.
And you see, they scout Ding. Mm-hmm. They know that he's here, so most likely he's gonna try and go. He's gonna path like this. If he's smart, he probably like puts his translocator here, so he's still ready to translocate over here and EMP in case Shock pushes into them, right?
Right.
But also, he's gonna have to replace his translocator. He's gonna path around, and a Ding is nowhere to be found, right? Immediately, Youngjin is dead before Ding can get even close to the fight and use his EMP. And then they grab, like, you know, and now Ding gets here, you know, from his long pathing. So,
Yeah.
and then this is a perfect example of like Shock abusing the fact that they have map control and then putting on a higher tempo than Shanghai Dragons are comfortable with. And anytime you're playing 3-3 against Sombra, 3-3 against Sombra DPS comps, and you have map control, especially if you play the Winston Moira comps, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
So if you watch this situation, this is almost the identical scenario to the one that you guys had.
DPS.
DPS against this comp.
Yeah.
Right? This comp, the Sombra Floats, has map control. The DPS are retaking map control. You see where RCK is. He's trying to set up, he's scouting deep, and he's trying to set up an EMP. But before he's ready, as soon as Aim God positions himself where he's within speed and leap range, Justice engages. So even though RCK has EMP, now he's in dead space. He's trailing the play. He has to catch up to be able to peel this dive. And if he would also understand his win condition in this situation, he would understand that this comp will always put a higher tempo and they're going to try to dive. So he has to sort of anticipate that and almost set up for a peeling EMP. But because he doesn't, and these guys put on a high tempo, they secure a kill before the EMP comes out, and the game is over, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just something to think about. All right, so let's summarize what we talked about in this video. The most important thing was obviously taking off angles and being a little more aggressive. This player had a bit of a passive playing style. He did make a lot of mistakes, but he also didn't really push his limits. So it's very important that he, as any D.Va in this meta, experiments a little more with that, taking off angles, taking high ground whenever he can, and learning these limits a little bit, so that if you do get pressured, you know when to fall back, and you know when you can actually go for plays if the enemy team ignores you. So that was a big concept, and also understanding that you can get away with a lot more when your team is using a support ultimate, that you can be a little more aggressive, you can look for more plays rather than playing passively, and you can really win a lot of fights through these tempo shifts and having an aggressive mindset. As far as Matrix and ult usage go, it's very important to win the mind game against the Zarya, understand that you have to save Matrix for her, keep track of where she's going, and try and not give her an opening. And also really think about how you should use your ultimate based on the ult economy and the situation. You know, is there a counter grab possibility? Can you bomb engage and take space? Should you counter bomb if the Zarya grabs you first? You should really outline these scenarios before the fight, so you're ready and you know exactly what the cue will be for you to use the bomb, so that you get a lot of value out of it. As far as the play against DPS comps go, again, the most important thing, just identify the most important threat, which is usually Pharah in these 3 or 4 DPS compositions. The D.Va has to receive a lot more resources, get the bubble, and really not go for kills. You have to change your mindset to just buying time for your team to brawl on point rather than going for kills, because most of the times you're just going to sacrifice HP. So you have to be proactive, but also be careful about losing too much HP, but also trying to put on a higher tempo on your opponents. Understand that if you do put the pressure on them, there's really not enough sustain to make the DPS compositions work. And again, against the Sombra GOATS, just abusing a lot of high grounds and trying to read the Sombra's pathing and having counters for whatever, having counters for EMPs or wherever she might want to hack from. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was pretty fun to make and talk about these various concepts. I think it should be pretty educational for most D.Va players. We'll try to do these types of videos in the future as well when I do more sessions, whether it's with teams or individual players in other roles or whatever it may be. So stay tuned for that and other types of contents that I have planned. And yeah, to make sure that you keep track of all of this, subscribe, make sure you check out one of my old videos, follow me on Twitter, like the video, all of that good stuff, and thank you for watching.